Hello, so I'm joined today here by two very similar looking laptops, brothers in fact, the Swift 3 and the Swift 5. Both are thin and light for on-the-go use, and both come with the option of Intel's Ice Lake CPU and a dedicated NVIDIA graphics card, but their price point is different. So what sets them apart and which one's for you? Let's find out. They're both thin and light notebooks, and there's not many laptops that do the job better than these two. Here in the Swift 3, it weighs in at 1.2 kilograms, has a thickness of 16 millimeters, and is set in a magnesium aluminium alloy. Here in the Swift 5, it's even thinner and lighter. It weighs in at just 990 grams, has a thickness of 14.95 millimeters, and I think it's due to the alloy. It's made of magnesium aluminium and magnesium lithium. Both of the laptops here in front of me are a 14-inch Full HD IPS display. This 3 in particular is the 14-inch version, but I believe there's also a 13.5 3x2 version out there too. Both of them also have extra narrow bezels. Here in the 3 you have a screen-to-body ratio of 84%, whereas in the 5 it's slightly more at 86.4. A notable difference here is that the Swift 5 is a touchscreen, and it's set on a matte panel, which is actually really nice to see. Whenever I see touchscreens on a glossy panel, they just reflect light and show up all the fingerprints. So that's really nice. And I found after using both of the laptops, the 5 actually has a higher brightness and richer colors than the 3. So that's something to consider if you're doing things like editing work. So what's inside? Well, in both of our Swifts, you can have an up to 10th gen Intel Core i7 Ice Lake CPU, the 1065 G7. And in terms of graphics, you have the option of a dedicated NVIDIA MX250 graphics card or Intel's integrated graphics as a cheaper option. But if you're doing professional graphics work or if you're interested in gaming, I definitely recommend spending a little bit more on getting the MX250. Let's talk about battery life, because realistically, if you're purchasing a thin and light notebook, it's to take around with you, so you're going to need something that has a good battery life. Both of the Swifts have a 56 watt-hour battery, but the battery life is different. Here in the Swift 3, it boasts a battery life of up to 16 hours. However, under real-world conditions like video playback, this is going to be something like 9 to 10 hours. Here in the Swift 5, it has a battery life of up to 12.5 hours. But again, under constant use, I say this is going to be something like 7 to 8 hours. And again, all of this is subjective to what processor you have, if you've chosen to go with a dedicated GPU, and what programs you're running. And in both, you have the really handy option of fast charge, which means you'll get 4 to 5 hours of battery life from only 30 minutes charging. So it's great for if you're on the go. In terms of storage, both come with up to 16 gigabytes of LPDDR4 RAM, and in the 3 you have up to 1 terabyte of PCIe Gen 3x4 SSD. In the 5 is slightly less, up to 512 gigabytes. However, it's still absolutely plenty for storing and playing all your audio and video files. In terms of connectivity, they're both exactly the same. They both come with Wi-Fi 6, which gives faster download speeds and lower latency. And looking at the ports, they both have a HDMI, a USB 3.1 Gen 2, an older USB 2.0, and most importantly, a Thunderbolt 3. Now the Thunderbolt 3, you can use this for super quick data transfers, connecting to external monitors, and you can also use this to charge the laptop. There's also a regular charging port if you want to keep the USB-C port free for other things. But can I just point out that the USB-C charger is the best thing ever. It's so small, it's like a phone charger, so it's perfect for if you're taking the laptop out and around with you. So some of the handy features they both have. They both have a fingerprint reader, Cortana, Windows Hello, and Wake on Voice, which basically means you can activate Windows 10 and ask Cortana without having to turn the laptop on. That just about wraps things up for the two laptops in front of me. So let's sum it up. The Swift 5 is the more expensive of the two, but it weighs in less and has a slightly better screen-to-body ratio. But the 3 has a better battery life and comes with bigger storage options, which is something you might find more useful for everyday life. However, where the Swift 5 kicks things up a notch is with its displays. It has a better color coverage and vibrancy than the 3, and also comes with a touchscreen panel if that's something you're interested in. Ultimately, I'd recommend the Swift 5 more if you're doing professional editing work, and I'd recommend the Swift 3 if you're just after a great all-rounder. And in both options, I definitely recommend going with a discrete GPU with the MX250. It makes a hell of a difference. And paired with Intel's Ice Lake CPU, you have a powerhouse of a thin and light notebook. Anyway, that's all from me. See you next time. Bye-bye.